Can you hear me? Is this on? Hello? Yeah? Okay. I just want to give an announcement before asking Souad to come to the mic. Lillian has friends. She's a prominent activist, women's activist, who was invited, obviously, and her organisation and our organisation are together have organised this conference. She couldn't make it because she's in Egypt at the moment. I'll just tell you a little bit about her and then read you her message of solidarity. Lillian French is a sociologist and feminist activist. She is the chairperson of the Feminist European Network, namely the European Feminist Initiative, which is an open network with activities beyond political and geographical European border. EFI, or European Feminist Initiative, also works in the Mediterranean region. EFI strives to provide a platform to the feminists in Europe to bring visibility to their movement, to contribute to the development of women's intervention in all fields of political, social, economic life, and works for the creation of a feminist balance of power. Well, Lillian at the moment, as I said, she had to go to Cairo for a workshop on women's rights, which was organised by EFI and other women's organisations in Egypt. This workshop is actually is a continuation of the work of the conference that was held in Cairo just before the popular uprising that we have witnessed. That was in December 2010, and we as an organisation were also invited, and Shahla Nouri and Karim actually took part in that conference, and the conference decided that they were going to continue their work towards women's liberation and women's rights in the Middle East. And that's where Lillian is at the moment. But she sent us her best wishes for the conference, and she wishes us success, support and solidarity in everything we do. So that was a message from Lillian, and I'm so sorry that she couldn't be here. Now it's Souad's turn. I'll just read a little bit about Souad's activities. I'm sure you've noticed, I mean, these are just summary of some of the things that all the speakers have done. I'm sure they've done a lot more. Souad, I just want to double check with you his surname, if I pronounce it right. Is it Baba Aisa?
Baba Aisa, yes.
Yeah. Souad Baba Aisa, European Feminist Initiative, a laïc feminist activist. Souad was born in 1961 in France in an Algerian family. She studied in France. At the age of 23, she decided to live in Algeria. She stayed there 5 years. Union activist and laïc feminist activist, she believes there is only a step between the social fight and the societal fight. I don't know what that societal is, but I'm sure you'll tell us. She actively participated in the campaign 20 Ans Barakat, which means 20 years enough, for the abrogation of the Algerian Code of the Family based on Sharia laws. In 2005, she joined European Feminist Initiative. The fight for the values of equality of the rights, the universality of the fundamental rights of women, the citizenship and the secularism are all essential elements in Souad's activities. Her investment is more important today since there is a real regression against the women's rights in France, in Europe, in Maghreb and all around the world. Souad.
Thank you. Thank you and good afternoon. At first, I want to tell you that I'm very happy to be here today and to be with a feminist activist, and in this meeting, excuse my English, I am not in full English, but I want a special thanks to women's liberation, and especially to Shala and to Azar. And I think it's necessary to work together with EFI, and women's liberation because we have the same revendication for women's rights.
You all right?
It's good you heard me. Good. The news from Tunisia, Libya, Morocco, Egypt, the Middle East is generally very disturbing. In the democratic ground, swell and the euphoria of the first month of years 2011 gives way to perspective of an Islamic governance today, the fatal and devastating effects of which are widely underestimated, even deliberately untold. It's difficult for me because my English, I not practice English every day. I always speak in French. I'm sorry, I'm like the Minister of French. The Islamist organized movement for a long time and established their network of mosques. Non, parce qu'en plus je vois pas.
No, it's my fault.
Try to profit. The Islamist organized movement for a long time and established a huge network of mosques, but tried to profit of the Arab people hunger and realized the biggest hijack of the century. The Islamists hijacked that we baptized rashly the Arab Spring. Such a drift was predictable. Indeed, the balance of power which dominated in the region was never in favor of democratic values and freedom. Dictators and Islamists, in perfect complicity, held by the West blind by political and economical calculation, had the free hands during decades to dry up the democratic life and reduce to nothing the effort of the Arab Democrats and the political organization. Beheaded and broken by a wild repression, the democratic movement was flattened and reduced to dust. Those who carried the Arab Spring as magically changed mind rapidly reassured us about the future by gracing angels' wings in the moderate Islam. Are they pulling our legs? Obama deals with the terrorist who himself are catalogued in blacklist, encourage the triumph return of the Taliban within the framework of the so-called national reconciliation in Afghanistan, and promoted the new Tunisian model. Same story goes from a European side, while Sarkozy and Cameron closed eyes on the hideous nature of the pseudo-democrat of Libyan leaders. Catherine Ashton, Minister of European Democracy, introduced in front of the new masters in the power. Everything contributes to think that the plan of the big Middle East promote in 2004 at the Congress by George W. Bush is being set up. Yesterday, we asked us to accept autocrats to avoid the Islamists. Today, they sell us Islam with a soft sauce of moderation. What's happened? Was it changed on 100 degrees? What do they mean, these magic words on moderate Islam? What is its concrete contents? I want them to explain us what a moderate marital guardian is, or the moderate oppression of women by men is. I want them to define what the moderate polygamy is. I want them to explain what the moderate stoning is. They show us what size be the stone so women are moderately stoned to death. I want them to enlighten us of moderate fatwa is. But what magic trick an ideology of war as Islam is based on divine laws would agree to submit itself to the human laws. The question with which an Algerian woman are raised, here is more than a quarter of century that the Algerian family laws, renamed rightly Code of the Slender or infam laws, imposed since 1984 suffering and humiliation on women by making them minors for life. The Algerian woman know all the versions of Islamism, its inhumanity and its sugar-coated speech. That is why they can speak about it with full knowledge of the fact of their Afghan and Iranian sisters. They know especially whatever is the version, the hard or the soft, they are in fact only both faces of the same monster, the political Islam. When religion takes power, it corrupts and degrades the society. It also pulls the society in the slums of the violence. The mixture of religion and power is always a mixture with clash, and this one first in the face and explodes at first in the place of the woman, the first victim of the political Islam, as the history of Algeria demonstrates. There is no difference between demonstrated. There is no difference between a poison and a moderate poison. Only that one killed immediately, and the other makes you suffering slowly. As a sign it, the political Islam is mortal in all the doses. The urgency for the laymen and the Democrats is to open up this concept of moderate Islamists. This big trickery, some would tend to say that progressive parties and feminists of the Muslim countries are not in the social reality and are far from the people's demands. Only the Islamists are close to the people, and that is necessary to discuss and to integrate them in the democratic land. What a beautiful game of dishonest compromise and political mistake. On one hand, in Algeria, the Islamists are in government or institution for several years. Now, it's necessary to make an assessment of their politics. Citizens have to know how they govern in the other Islamist countries. The Turkish model, where the repression increases and where the personal freedoms are in danger. In Iran, since the Islamic Republic, the corruption is stronger even in comparison with the corruption existing under the Shah. Prostitution has developed enormously, and drugs have endangered the youth. Thank you. No, it's good. The essential advantage of the Islamism vis-à-vis Democrats and feminist activists and organizations is in the huge network of mosques. There are around 18,000 mosques. Each of them is a political stand, a place of indoctrination and a space of recruitment. The sermon is a political speech imposed on the believers at least once a day, and the daily assemblies are transformed into meetings once a week on Fridays. However, in spite of petrodollars of Qatar and Saudi Arabia, we were able to observe that the Islamists were absent, totally absent in Arab revolutions. We are in front of a new political reorganization, and the democratic strands have to be organized around a common political, economical, and social platform. The break with the ideological matrix of the Islam, the requirement of the separation between state sphere and religious sphere according to secularism. Also, we can consider that the democracy consists only of the organization of free, transparent election, which allows the enemies of the democracy to rust into the democratic breach. As for those who think that there will be no reform in Islam, nothing can be made to improve the women's rights. That women have to continue to conform to inequitable laws dating from the 7th century. The recognition of the woman as a social subject beyond the assigned role or the prescribed identities such as mothers and wives is central in the perspective of a social and political citizenship. We haven't to take place on the ground of the religious to put in our political strategy. As laymen secularists, we consider that religion is a private affair to belong at home or church mosques, but must not interfere in the political sphere. It's a reason for which we don't have to be situated with regards to religion. It's important for us to promote civil laws in respect of the universal values. We don't try to validate our vision of the world by some religious action. We are moved by the harmony to live with our century in equality with men. Why do we have to wait that religion are reformed for women's emancipation? If the Catholics had to live in the diapason of the religious recommendation of the Pope, today, European women's condition would not have evolved. Why Muslim women should submit themselves to the diktat of medieval fatwas? The religious are conservative. While people have no possibility of modifying the divine laws, the political, religious organization and institution ideologize the faith so that the divine order becomes the only source of right, and where women and men are not considered as citizens but as members of a community. If of adventure, the progressive confines themselves looking forward to Islam reformism to allow the people to become emancipated of the religion, it will mean accepting that I call hopeless republic and to accept a new reading of the divine text or prescription so that women and men can exist as citizens. We have not to wait reformism for promote equality with civil laws and the emancipation of the woman and the humanity. What the people without the citizenship? It can't have democracy without citizenship there, and this one is the elder daughter of the secularism. whatever point of view will take place, neither the polygamy, nor the repudiation, nor the stoning are the order of the human values. They are all an insult in the whole humanity. It cannot, there is no good alchemy between the Islam and the politics. The fundamentalism prospered in echo on the both banks of the Mediterranean Sea. But we shall not give into this offensive generalized against the women's right. For us, the democracy doesn't limit itself on arithmetic. The democracy is based on universal values, and we shall never accept that the right for the equality between women and men is sacrificed by dishonest compromise with the political Islam. The rights of the woman are neither secondary nor negotiable, and no politics can claim to defend the whole humanity if she ignores the woman's right. That is why all women in the world have to convert their effort to fight together against the fundamentalism of any age, so that finally are recognized the place of the women and so that blooms their right. Such a fight will not succeed if it is not led against or achievement to the laicity. Without laicity, no place will be made for women's rights. Thank you.